Take 3, guys.
I really like this podcast room.
Me too, Chris. Thanks for dedicating this office strictly to podcasts. James,
Thanks.
I'll go back to my original joke. Thank you for helping us move this weekend. This is our first official week in the brand new office. We're over here at 909 South Tawanqua. So if you drive in this area and you saw a brand new white brick sexy building, that is us. And thank you all for making it happen, guys.
James didn't help us move
I
at all.
know. I'm
You know
making
what,
fun.
though? In all fairness, my contribution was picking the colors of the building because Chris was gonna leave it that color, right?
I mean,
there.
how
I'm
many
like,
colors
Chris.
were there?
I'll
Like
just-
white.
I'll just take the
Great.
financial
Like that.
burden of...
Put that mic down a little bit lower. Aim it right at you, like
And
you're
so I'm
talking
like,
to
dude, at
Boatman.
least paint it white.
There
at
you
least
go.
paint it white, black roof. Yeah.
No, but on a serious note, though, and as all the years that y'all have been doing real estate, which is like, I think 300, this is the first time y'all have ever had an actual building, right? Like, have you always leased? We've never actually had a building, have we?
No, we've always leased.
Yeah.
You know, we moved 1, 2, 3, 4.
A lot.
maybe
Sometimes in
5,
the middle of
6
the night.
times.
Oh, I know.
You should have seen
man.
Chris moving the other day. It was like he was in a rush. I'm like, the landlord's not going to come
I
and move
know.
us out. Like, we can take our time and
Back
we'll
in
get
the day,
stuff.
we didn't have that luxury.
Man, yeah.
Well, when I first started,
They
we
were
were
knocking
at
on our window.
when I first started with
man.
y'all, we were at I guess what's now the Clayburg building, and I was there and I was getting set up and I had my arcade inside the office and that was it. And then like I think 2 weeks later, Chris was like, "We got to go." I was like, "Where are we going?"
Well, no, the building, in our defense, the building was foreclosed on. And
Get a little closer.
the building had been foreclosed on, and the new tenant, or the new landlord, was going to spike our rent up, I think, 3 times over. So,
Just didn't work out.
We didn't have a choice.
So for people that didn't know, we used to be at Hawley and Hawley and Staples Copperfield building, and now we have our own building. It's the Mirabal Montalvo building. And where was the very first office y'all had? Was it the one on Staples further down, closer to like Woodday Spa?
Well,
Woodhouse?
when you say like very first, so obviously before Chris became my partner, it was actually Mirabal Reeb, and we were on Staples right next to. It was actually a really cool building. I still like it. I'd like to buy it at some point, but it's right next to Brook Hollow. It's that building that's on stilts.
Yeah.
And what's cool about it is covered parking, obviously.
I think I went there once.
Yeah.
To pick up a check or something.
Yeah, that was originally Mirabal Reeb, and then we moved down Staples right around 2008 when the whole the market was changing, and so we were. I don't even remember I don't even remember the address on it, but we were there, and then we eventually made our way to Copperfield, right?
I remember when we were leaving that building, we were moving to a larger facility that was brand new, and the market literally just took a nosedive.
Oh, yeah.
So how many, for people that are trying to remember that time, so before 2008, how many agents were within Mirabal Reeb?
God.
Oh, we had what 40?
60?
Yeah, maybe 40 to 60.
60?
Oh yeah.
And they were all broken under you or Jerry?
No, actually under Bob Morgan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was
Bob
a
Morgan was our
98-year-old broker.
Oh yeah.
98?
Yeah.
Was he still at the office?
Yeah. Heck
No
yeah,
way,
dude.
really?
He smoked. He smoked a lot of cigarettes.
He drank. He could out party anybody. No joke. I mean, he was
He was
just
a
like,
womanizer.
You know what?
At 98,
I
he
think.
Hefner away.
I think. Well, God, this is already going a different direction. I think
can go whatever
Chris
direction.
and I, though, I think with him and Jerry, in all fairness, at the time, he had kind of gone away for a while. You know, I say not like prison. I just let me
He went to
rephrase
college
that.
for a little bit? That's what contractors tell us.
He had his own brokerage, and he had been doing it like a long time. And so he kind of just kept his own place, and it was him. Real nice guy. I mean, he was my neighbor growing up, so I
really?
always knew him. And so anyway, I feel like when we brought him on board as the broker, like he was a completely different person. Like and he's since passed away, but he was. I think we gave him some good final years.
I'll never forget, personally, it was the first few months of having my real estate license. I'm 18, and I'm doing a deal in Alice, Texas. And there was a broker that was kind of bullying me on the deal, and I was representing the buyer. Long and short, we have an accepted contract, and the agent tells me, well, you're a non-MLS agent in Alice, and so you're only getting 1%. And so I'm freaking out. I tell Bob. Bob gets on the phone. Listen here, bitch.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you what.
Wait, was it a woman or a man?
No, it was a lady, but Bob ripped. I mean, I've never seen Bob so red. He's like, I'm a part of the Texas Associate. I mean, I don't even know. He was spitting stuff out.
It
and at
was,
the end of it, he got me
yeah.
3%. Yeah.
Bob was he was our biggest cheerleader. He wanted us to succeed, and I feel like just seeing him, he had like a glow up. You know what I'm saying? Because we grew really quick, and we had a lot of agents, and so he got to get re-engaged back in the real estate
But this
community.
is pre-2008, right?
Pre-2008.
But this is also kind of like, so do you feel, the way it was back then was any similar to the way it was in 2021, 2022 when interest rates were just so super low and everyone was getting into the real estate game? Was it similar or was it even better? And when I say better, I guess that's the wrong term because a lot of people were misinformed back then. Was things selling just as fast? I guess what I'm asking.
I would say, I'll go first. I would say, yeah. I mean, it was kind of like that. What was that movie with mortgages?
Oh, the Big Short. Yeah.
Anybody could get loans back then. I mean, it was every real estate agent was good because it was just like taking orders. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
You still had to work it and so forth, but that in relation to the one that came afterwards, you know what I'm saying? Like kind of what we're going through a little bit. You know, in my opinion, it's different as far as the market. What we need to do to succeed and be successful is the same.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you think it was the same? Did it feel the same? Like, well, I guess here's what I'm trying to clarify. So pre-2008, and like you mentioned, anyone can get approved for a loan, and that's what that movie's about. If you watch The Big Short with Steve Carell and Ryan Gosling, they're showing how the market was. Where, like you said, anyone can get approved, and people had double mortgages, and you could walk in with like no paycheck stubs. Like you could be anybody.
Stated income is what it was.
Yeah, and then similar was in 2020, 21. After COVID, interest rates went down really low. People were trying to flood the economy with business, and I think that's why they dropped the rates. Was it? I guess what I'm asking is, was it just as busy or more busy?
I think it was just as busy, don't you? Yeah, for sure.
It was just a different type of busy.
But I guess the benefit of it since then is that, of course, now mortgages aren't just given out. Like you still have to qualify for it.
Yeah.
And I think that was the difference in 2022 and 21, 22. You still had to qualify. You still had to have good credit and income. It wasn't back then, like you said, they're just giving them out.
Correct. It was so that the effect was the cause and effect were a little bit different. So the original way what we were talking about was just money was easy to get. Okay, during the heyday that followed after that, money was cheap to get. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which both of those factors contributed to higher sales.
So I think a lot of people that are in the industry and not only in sales, but on the buyer side that are trying to borrow money, what event could happen next? Like would it have to be another pandemic where we see those kind of market, or what could it possibly? It would have to be, right?
No, there's that saying, history repeats itself. It doesn't repeat itself. It rhymes.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're ever going to see, 2008 COVID. I think the next chapter. I don't think anybody can foresee what the future holds. But
I think a lot of it, and this kind of plays into, and I was talking to someone last week about this, because all the stuff in LA right now, right, with all these fires, and there's such a big market of people that have a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Very similar to like in 21, 22, I think I saw the most cash buyers ever come into our market because they were coming from other markets where, hey, I don't know what's up over here. I'm going to cash out. I'm going to sell my business. I'm going to sell my property. I'm going to come here to Texas. Do you see a lot of people coming to Texas now that this happened? Because right now, there's like over 10,000 structures that have been burned down. Houses, museums, schools, churches.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people that either, like you said, if insurance doesn't pay out, are they just going to sell the land? And then you have a lot that's in a neighborhood, a really nice neighborhood, where there's thousands of homes that have been burned down. How are you going to sell your lot?
I think the opposite. If insurance doesn't pay out, those people, I mean, their life savings are in those houses.
That's true.
I don't, the wind exclusions that we have with windstorm here is similar to like their fire there. And I think the government's going to have to step in and bail them out. But the prices are so out of reach.
But it's going to be even worse because think about it. You have that many structures go down at one time. So let's just say 3,000 people say, hey, well, all of our houses burned down. You're going to go to the city. You're going to have to get permits. You're going to have to get contractors. You're going to have to find builders.
Gouge.
Yeah, you're going to have even the guys that are just going to go get the debris. Like, hey, you want us to clean up all this fire residue and all that stuff?
Toxic that debris is too. But anyway, I had heard yesterday, I was listening to, I forgot which podcast or what I was listening to, but they were saying, I don't know that all those people are necessarily going to relocate yet, but they were saying that all the rentals in the surrounding area
are going crazy.
There was like one for like going for like $25,000, ended up getting leased for $52,000 a month. You know what I'm saying? So those people, I mean, I don't know that it's going to mean a boon for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I
guess I just saw, like we always wondering, like, okay, where's the market going? It could be a big market that comes, and it might come to Texas if people have thought about, hey, maybe we don't want to live in this kind of state that's managed this way. We want to go somewhere else where it's run a little bit better.
Yeah, and like two things. Number one, kind of to get back what you were saying, I'm a little bit older than y'all. Not by much. Just a little bit. But these rates are normal, guys.
Yeah.
These are normal rates. What happened afterward were artificial rates. So I think there's going to be an overall adjustment. I can see them maybe getting down to about maybe 5.5%, 6%. I don't think, it's going to get down to 2, 3, 4% for a long time. I think actually the market's kind of getting back to where it should be in a sense. I know nobody likes to hear that.
Yeah, I know.
But I think that these are kind of going to go. And if you look right now, they lowered the prime interest rates. Okay, so that is what banks basically. That's the prime rate. That's not a mortgage rate. Okay, and what you're seeing is that the mortgage rate is going in the opposite direction. I was just reading something this morning. So I think we've seen that the rates have gone back up, right, on mortgages, although the commercial bank rates have gone down. So anyway, to make a long story short, it's kind of anyone's guess. The thing is I think if you purchase something at a low interest rate, there's going to have to be a really compelling reason, like you're moving across country or whatever, to give that up. Maybe a life circumstance, you added to the family, you need a 4-bedroom now, yada, yada, yada. But the market is definitely different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you've got to kind of have a reason if you own something right now. But I'm still seeing like a lot of first-time buyers, to them, I mean, they're in the market looking, because it's still, when you compare that to rent, and of course, everybody has the home ownership dream, they still want to own something,
Well, sure.
Yeah. So, and there's that saying, marry the house, date the rate, kind of overused a little bit, but there's some validity to it.
Well, yeah, especially when rent's 100%. And I think a lot of people, like you said, they have that dream. But I think the hard part, and this is just something that I guess millennials and different people like around that age where they're buying houses are hearing, all right, I missed the boat 2008. Dang it, I should have bought a house when I was in 8th grade. And then they missed the boat in or post-COVID. And so I think a lot of people are still waiting for, everyone likes a sale. Everyone likes clearance rack. It's like, damn, when's that going to happen again? And I agree with you 100%. I know Chris says the same thing. I don't see something like that happening, which is what's sad when you're telling people, hey, you should probably just buy something now.
Exactly.
You can look into what you can afford, because even if something like that happened, you're going to have a flood of people going to the market going, oh, I guess now's the time.
Exactly.
Let's go.
If the
you're
rates
going to compete against everybody else.
Exactly. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing too. And I'm sure, hopefully y'all probably see the same thing too, is that, we saw the rates go up. I personally thought prices were going to crash, and they didn't. You know what I'm saying? As I researched it further, then I found out the U.S. is short like 5 to 7 million housing units. And so I think now what I'm noticing is the prices have started to hold and maybe even go down a little bit. But the average market time, from what I'm seeing on the listings that I've gotten lately, it's back up to like 60, 90 days.
Which is normal.
So what do people tend to start doing? They start reducing at that point. Now, I think if that goes according to plan, yes, the prices could maybe go down a little bit, possibly. I don't think it's going to be a huge amount. But again, like you were just saying, if all of a sudden, the new administration takes office, and of course I wish them the best, wish everybody the best, and they have the rates, what do you think that's going to do? Yeah, the rate might drop, but then all of a sudden the prices are completely back up.
James made
again.
a really good point. After prior to the crash, everything was selling, overnight within 30 days. It was around that, I want to say between 2010, 11, when things started somewhat stabilizing, 2011 to about 2017, the average day on the market was 60, 90 days. That was normal.
That was normal.
A lot of people forget that was normal. And so when COVID hit, everything was selling in days, hours,
multiple offers, over asking.
Absolutely.
And everybody, I believe, everybody just got spoiled. And this isn't a car, when you're selling a house, it takes time. And even myself, even on projects that I have that I feel should sell the first week on the market, I just got an offer on one that has been on the market 60 days, and I was literally about to slash the price another 10,000. Long and short, you just have to be patient and just keep loading up. But I think a lot of people just have unrealistic expectations, and the ones that can hold and the ones that can be patient, they'll get what they want. But a lot of people don't have that luxury.
I think our market that people don't understand, there's a lot of outside factors that come into it. Industries, like I said, I'm just speculating about like the California stuff. I feel like, there's always been there was like the oil boom right around like 2014 where like anybody who's in the oil field was just raking it in. I don't know.
Alice, Texas was out of control.
Oh, yeah. Everywhere, like all these surrounding little cities. And I think that's kind of what plays into it. So I think as people, as investors, you have to kind of ride that wave, and but you also have to look out for those things to happen too. Because man, if I could have told y'all, if anybody could have told each other, because I remember when COVID happened and everything shutting down, and there's a lot of fear in the market, and everyone was kind of holding back and holding on to the cash, and that's because we're all cashed up.
Yeah.
If I could look back and be like, dude, jump in now. Market, real estate, take advantage of all these interest rates. I know Chris did a lot of refis. I know you did a lot of refis, just taking advantage of those
Even
things.
a lot of the refis that I did do, I wasn't able to cram in the bulk of the stuff that I wanted refinanced because the banks were so busy. So I mean,
Oh, yeah, it took
what
a
I
lot
should
of
have, could have. There's always two sides of the story.
Sure.
But absolutely, like if I can, go back in time, would I do anything different? Probably not, but I'd probably be a little more aggressive with the banks to hurry up and refi my stuff.
Of course.
Start your own bank.
Yeah, and kind of getting back to what you were saying, and I try to explain this to people when I'm working with them, is that you have your macro economy, which is, like you were saying, nationwide. Those are interest rates. That's kind of trends, where if it's war, peace, whatever's going on. Then you have your micro economy. And this is my 25th year doing real estate here in Corpus, and I can just say overall, over that period of time, Corpus just kind of creeps up a little bit in general, right? But it doesn't have the wild crashes either of like California, stuff like New York, some of those during the last recession. Miami, they were giving those condos away. I should have got one. Austin, yeah. So
all my friends were renting, high rises downtown, making 30,000, 40,000 a year. And I'm like, what
how?
Yeah.
And then,
you guys selling drugs?
Even in the micro economy, you have like a sub micro economy. Like I was actually in San Antonio yesterday looking at some property, and I was looking at a couple properties, and they were kind of I get the names confused, like Alamo Heights or that area. And I was talking to to my contact over there. He's like, James, like here, like they lease up quick. He said, I just sold a fourplex on the rim outside, kind of between SeaWorld and that. He goes, it's a 4-unit, it's a fourplex. He goes, they've only been able to lease 1 unit out. They paid like $800,000 for the building. They're going to have to start slashing rents to get people.
Wait, this is residential lease or commercial?
It's a residential fourplex. And what I was looking at was a duplex and a triplex, and like those do not stay vacant long. So there's so many different, and I guess my point being, there's so many, you've got your macro factors like rates and so forth. You got your micro. What I have seen here lately, we're getting some people from like the Tesla battery plant coming in.
Yeah, for sure. We've had a few of those.
Exactly. And they're renting and buying, some of them. So it just kind of depends. You know what I'm saying? Like
I guess that's what I was getting at. There's different industries.
There's no universal answer.
Yeah. Like I do see the different industries coming to town. And, recently there was an event that Paulette and some of the other people in town put on to like kind of educate people on the refineries, how this works and how the oil business is, where a lot of it, I didn't realize we have 7, we have 9 refineries here.
Yeah, the area, we have quite a few.
And that's not even including, like you said, the new Tesla Gigafactory is, I guess what I'm getting at is, and this is the thing that people don't know, is there going to be like a new industry that enters the market that people haven't thought of yet? Is there going to be like a new energy market, or you think it's just we're so dependent on oil that it's always just going to be that? I guess that's the only thing I think it could be. There's not going to be like another tech boom.
The Harbor Bridge is going to open up the port to larger ships. So the import export industry is going to spike up. I think Corpus is poised for a lot of things. The desal is a huge deal. I mean, there's a lot.
Explain that, just because I've heard you talk about that before, but explain that for people that don't know.
Desalination,
like what the process actually is.
Well, Corpus has kind of had it, and like we're not. This is not our realm, but from what we've heard, the water. Obviously, we're in restriction around watering and so forth. They've always talked about having a desal. Basically, takes salt water, purifies it, I guess, and turns it into water for the community. Yeah, which actually they're talking about in California right now. You got the sea right there. Why didn't you tie that into the
I think a lot of it they said because of the way the infrastructure was, that they take that salt water and pump it through the fire hydrants, it would just rust everything out, is the way I understand it.
I got it.
Because I saw a lot of people going, hey, wait a minute, y'all don't have any water in these fire hydrants, you don't have these reservoirs, but you have an ocean. You have the Pacific Ocean right there.
I'm sure there's a workaround for it, because I know in a lot of different parts of the world that they actually use desalination plants. So I'm sure there's...
Wait, do we have a desalination plant?
They've talked about it, but I don't know how far it's gone.
No, we don't have one yet.
But
we got Google over there.
But there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things in the works. Corpus isn't a metropolitan city. Case in point, James was talking about multifamily in San Antonio. Back in 2011, I had a broker call me on a 10-plex in San Antonio, and I was buying some stuff in San Antonio. It was a foreclosure. It was a 10-unit apartment complex, all 4-bedroom, 2-bath units. I bought it for $200,000 cash. As soon as I bought it, I drove down there with Amanda. Went over there. Half of it was vacant. I got stung by a bunch of wasps. And I've never seen a 4-bedroom, 2-bath unit in a complex. It was bizarre, and it was kind of west San Antonio, kind of near the downtown west area, the area that's being gentrified right now. Anyway, long and short, as soon as I closed it, I had a bunch of issues remodeling it. So a hedge fund manager called me up and offered me, 60 over, and I said, absolutely, you can have it. Fast forward, banker buddy of mine wanted his daughter to go to UT, and he wanted a place in this gentrified area of San Antonio, this up and coming area. He kept talking about how they're tearing houses down, building these really nice townhomes and whatnot. So we take a trip down there, and we're looking at property, and super nice, new construction, really, areas up and coming. And mind you, I mean, that was probably 2 years ago. I'm in the area of San Antonio, and I'm like, man, I don't know what it is, but this area, I'm getting nostalgia. I feel like I've been here before. And so I look at my email, and I dug up, I was trying to dig up that complex. Long and short, pulled it up. It was on the tax rolls for $2.4 million.
The one you bought for 200?
The one I bought for 200,000. And I drove by it. It was all dolled up, nothing special. And I just thought, where am I going to see appreciation like that? That's ridiculous. Like, we don't see returns like that in Corpus. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. We've had our home runs, but
for sure,
that's just insane. Can you imagine?
I think it has to be like a big boom. Well, downtown San Antonio has going through like $1 billion renovation with all the different streets and all the different entertainment complexes. And I had a buddy a couple years ago where I remember going to his house down by the Tower of America. It's like the Needle, and it was like his mom's or his grandma's old house, and it was just a beat up old house, something you would see in areas of town. I'm gonna say,
yeah, for sure.
But it was something that he's like, oh yeah, his house will be worth a lot. There was like one house had been remodeled. Now I've seen him post like on his Instagram stories, and you see all the houses around his old grandma's house. Dude, we got like $2-3 million houses that are downtown San Antonio, and we have that kind of real estate downtown. I think it would take a couple more, like a decade or two, until we see people that are going to be getting out of there. Like you think about, like even just down the street from where we're at right now. Like look at the houses that we're at. The one across the street just sold for close to $1 million. Did you know that the
close to $1 million?
The one right here, yeah.
Which one?
The one across the street.
Oh wow.
The one with the Widow's Peak. Pull it up.
I thought it sold for like 600.
That's close to $1 million.
Yeah, that's
calm down.
Yeah. No, I'm optimistic. I think that Corpus is on a good trajectory, but I think we also need to hold city government accountable too. I mean, you've got to be a place where people want to do business. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying we're not right now, but I'm just saying the city cannot take their foot off the gas. In other words, they need to keep, if I'm not a politician or whatever, but they need and then maybe they have one, but they need like a full-time sales force soliciting these companies that we want to bring into the area. Because I feel like we've got the education system with the university. I mean, my son goes to the university. It's a great university. We've got Kingsville, the pharmaceutical and things like that. I think we need to keep our foot on the gas right now. While people are frustrated in other parts of the country, like people are getting frustrated with California. We've seen that. New York, some of these high regulation states where real estate's super expensive or whatever.
Taxes.
I mean, where else can you go in the country? And honestly, you can get a house on Ocean Drive for under $1 million if you buy it right. You know what I'm saying? It's going to need some work, or live on the south side on water and stuff like that.
Or land,
Corpus has so many pluses. I just think that we need to, again, hope that the city keeps their foot on the gas to keep bringing. I'd be freaking whining and dining Elon Musk some more. He brought us the battery plant, and look what difference that's making.
You're right.
Because the thing is too is like I'm curious to see that and Chris brought up a good point. You're going to see a lot of action out of the port. But when they started the Harbor Bridge, there was a lot of action from the people coming in to make the Harbor Bridge. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So where are all those people going to go when it's over with? And I'm hoping, like Chris was saying, they'll be reabsorbed by the port industry and so forth. But I guess to answer your question, I think great things are poised for Corpus. But again, the city needs to do their part to keep bringing things in. You know what I'm saying? You can't just we got the Tesla plant. Okay, we're good for a little bit. No.
We need more.
What else can we do? How else can we put our local community to work? You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you look at like a city like in San Antonio, what industries do they actually have over there? Like they don't have a lot of the industries that we have. So it's very I'm very curious. I want to know, like, what do they have that's bringing in so much? Is it just the culture, or is it just the area, or is it just medical?
Education.
Or you think it's location wise? Because I know, like, if you look back to, like, this is going to sound dumb, but back in the day, whenever I was do concerts, there was a lot of times where we always feel like we were overlooked, and a lot of it was because people, as they go through Texas, are like, oh, that's 2 hours away, let's stay up north, and that's why Austin, San Antonio, San Marcos, you have like that big triangle that's just growing so fast. It's just because we're out of the way, and we're not even that far
accessibility.
out of the way.
As a matter of fact, it's funny you brought that up because the duplex, one of the tenants that lives in the duplex I was looking at yesterday, lives there. He's a rigger, and he's actually supposedly going to set up the stage for the inauguration and all these Lollapalooza and all this stuff. And the guy was telling me he's really only here 6 months out of the year, but since it's close to the San Antonio airport, it's cheaper for him to just rent it the whole year.
Yeah.
He's basically there for accessibility.
Sure.
You know, when you have an international airport, flights coming in from all over the place, I think that's a major plus. You know what I'm saying? And so hopefully they'll make some more airports. And I think we should, also promote getting more people to use the airport. We've all been fortunate to travel. And I'll tell you what, like I used to I'm going to save a few bucks. I'm going to go to San Antonio. But then you go stand in the TSA line over there. How fun is that? Or try to park. I mean, here in Corpus, like we got the best airport.
Yeah, it's like, it's what is it, 2 hours to recommend? And if you're Mexican grandpa, you got 3 hours. But if you go here,
traffic.
You can get there like 30 minutes before.
Texan Drive in San Antonio, you're dead.
I could I can have Stan drop me off or park my car, covered parking, walk in the airport, be through TSA in literally 20 minutes. And like, I'm not mad. I'm not fighting traffic. Yeah, it maybe costs another $100, $200, but I'd love to see the city promote like ways to get our airport to grow. Okay. So, I mean, all of this stuff ties together. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to have the companies coming in to want to use the airport, but if you look at, let's reverse that a little bit. Why have we lost some of the big companies? We lost Whataburger. Okay.
Yeah.
We lost Omni. Bob Rowling's from Corpus Christi, moved it to Dallas. And I don't think it's anything against Corpus Christi. I really don't. It's just when they're scaling on that level, their employees are valuable. You know what I'm saying? They need to be able to get in and out. And what do they need? An airport. You know what I'm saying? These are national companies that need to get in and out.
Well, see, this is all stuff that I think people don't think about. Like you said, there's the economy, there's the market, there's the micro markets, there's all these different things that are happening all the time. And I think sometimes we all get caught up in our own bubble, and especially people that are maybe new to real estate or new to investing. It's like they see their little world and they don't see all the other.
There's so many different things involved. Yeah, and some of them, you can't even sometimes quantify them. I mean, I know I've sometimes looked at, and I think Chris has invested in some smaller markets, like say, what was it, Refugio?
It was Port Lavaca.
Port Lavaca is a
What did you buy in Port Lavaca?
Bought a fourplex.
But
hey, it's fully occupied.
No, it's exactly
it's cash flowing.
And so overall, Texas is a great
place. They got a
place.
fake Buc-ee's.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Texan.
Yeah, the Texan.
No,
those are nice stores.
It's a Buc-ee's, but
What?
it's like they took a Snappies and slapped it.
They took one of the ears off.
Okay, so let me back up. No offense to the Texan. Have you ever been to the Texan? Like, there's one.
Michelle raves about it.
Yeah, it's a nice store. He's actually talking about one that's making fun of Buc-ee's.
No, I think it's a real Buc-ee's.
You sure?
But
is it?
It's like Buc-ee's bought the Snappies.
No way. No way.
He sent us a picture one time in the group.
Pull it up, Jessica.
No, serious.
Oh, I thought that was like a
it's
like
not
a
an
fake
imitation.
store. Like, oh man, they're gonna get sued.
No,
it's actual Buc-ee's.
Exactly. Yeah.
But the bathrooms were super clean. They were making the chopped beef sandwiches when I walked in. It's.
But I mean, there is some new commercial stuff coming in town. There's some big announcements that came through. Like, I don't know when they have a timeline for like Bass Pro Shop and everything coming through.
Yeah.
Or is that just still up in the air? And then I know there's new commercial pad sites recently that have been going up on the south side. So who knows what's going there? I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a tattoo shop. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a bar. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a Subway.
Kind of always is.
A nail salon.
Subway.
Yeah. Oh, you're asking about San Antonio too. Remember, they got 4 military bases there too.
True.
They got 4 Air Force places too.
Well, we have what?
Yeah, we're strong in that too, and we do a lot of, I think, helicopter. I mean, we've all have clients that have worked at the base and so forth, and that's a great,
Air Force, the Navy,
But I think a lot of it comes into just education. I think a lot of the times it's people that make decent money here. They work at the refineries, they work at the base, they work in medical, but maybe either they've been misinformed of the way the market is or real estate is. And the ones that actually take advantage of it, they buy, a new construction home and I'm only going to be here for a couple of years. Cool. Buy this house at a really low rate. If you're VA, your military, or your DOD employee, you can go buy this for like 0% down.
Here's the one thing
and rent it out.
Yeah, here's the one thing that I can say, from doing this. regardless of the market conditions, if you buy and hold real estate over the long term,
gotta make money.
I have not seen it, unless you just trash out the property. I have not seen a person, you know what I'm saying, like really lose money on it unless it gets trashed out or something like that.
I think the only people that lose money are the ones that either overbuy.
Yes.
They were misinformed and uneducated by the person that was helping them, or like you said, they just didn't take a hold of their finances after they moved in.
And again, I want to stress the point of when they've held it long term. I'm saying longer term, 4, 5, 6, 7 years or more. You know, because again, during that time with the stated income, there was just flippers, a lot of flippers, people just, you know, that were just, they could buy it low, sell it higher for 3, 4, 5, 6 months later. And it worked a little bit at the time, but
the market was just moving so fast.
It was moving so quick. But the people who overall, you know, bought the house or bought the investment property with the intention of staying there 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, whatever, they all came out fine. As a matter of fact, they all came out on the positive. Yeah. So, and a lot of them did hold on to that. And then when these rates dropped down, refinanced it.
And cash out, go buy something else.
Cash out, buy something else, or, you know, I mean, just whatever. But
Well, I think that's the one thing that a lot of people that are getting into real estate, especially like first-time investors, and I think there's a lot, I was talking to someone the other day, and there was a guy that wanted to just buy something to buy something.
Yeah.
And I told him, I go, it's really difficult because I think some people are just wanting to buy real estate because they have a friend that has a rental, and maybe that person's
Right.
always like, oh yeah, I got 10 rentals, but you don't know what they paid for. And I told him, I go,
Exactly.
you only want to buy real estate when it's not your primary residence if you get a great deal.
Yeah.
And I go, getting a great deal is going to set you up long term, because if you're buying stuff
Yeah.
at retail, it doesn't make any sense. It does not make any sense to go pay as much as you can for a property, rent it out, and
Exactly.
your number and your cash flow is just so small.
Yeah.
But you get to say, oh, I own 10 houses. Yeah, but how much are you making per house per month?
Exactly. It's much easier to make money when you buy sometimes than it is when you sell. That's when you really can make money, is when you buy it right.
I've heard Chris say that multiple times.
Yeah, I think during COVID, a lot of people overpaid for.
They got
this
emotional about it, and that's kind of one thing I think we've learned as you get, you know, it's about numbers. It's like, does it make sense? You know what I'm saying? Whereas opposed to you're saying some people do get emotional about it. And owning a home is an emotional decision. I mean, we all get there. But at the end of the day, you kind of got to look at it logically. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, the rate's a little bit higher than I want, but this does really check all the boxes. You know, rates probably will come down at some point. But if they don't, I'm still fine. You know, I've always advised people, buy for the present time, because the only time I've ever lost money in real estate on the investment side and so forth is speculating, you know, waiting for, I don't even really buy land anymore unless I'm actually going to use it. And that served me well. You know, everybody's different, but I think that if you can make the case and the data shows, hey, it's good right now, you're going to be fine at what the current payment is, with the current interest rates and all that other stuff, it's going to be fine. You know what I'm saying? But if, like you're saying, if you're just trying to, for the sake, you know what I'm saying, of owning real estate.
Speaking of speculating, you got Billy Bob over here, landman, buying land and speculating. So when you've bought a lot of land, the best story that he's ever told me is, you said it was when your son was born. I remember you said you were in the hospital and he was looking at listings that had expired, and he happened to find, I don't want to tell the whole story, but I'll set it up for you. You found a piece of land that was listed incorrectly, and then what happened?
Oh, yeah.
It was 132 acres, and my phone wasn't blowing up. My son was born. It was nice and quiet, and it was 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna track down the owner and, you know, shoot him an offer and see what happens. And I ended up stealing that land. And
How was it listed incorrectly though? Like, tell me that part.
it was a parcel next to it that was listed incorrectly, and then I was digging into a little bit more research, and the same owner had another parcel that was tied to this land. So I noticed he was doing business with this one agent, so I reached out to the agent, and we struck a deal. And long and short, ended up buying that deal. And I brought in a partner just to show gratitude. That was a developer, and the whole point was he was to teach me how to develop. And anyway, we ended up buying it. A couple years go by, didn't think anything of it, and then the city needed it for the La Jolla's reservoir project.
Which is like close to Greenwood, right?
The Greenwood, that big ass retention pond they're doing.
Yeah.
Long and short, so the city reached out, and they started kind of lowballing, and we couldn't come to terms. And long and short, they were threatening eminent domain. It's when they force you to sell it, through the government. And a developer friend of mine called me up. He was like, "Hey, let me get in on this. Let's do a land swap with the city, and I'll pay you double. So I said, all right, let's go. And so the politics that were involved, it was just
But how
nuts.
could you have ever guessed that was going to be happening with it? It wasn't your intention buying land. Like you said a while ago, the reason I thought about that story is because you said speculating on land is really hard because you have to really be in the know to know where the city's going and what's going to be happening, what's going to be needed.
Just real quick, there's two factors too. Like, are you acquiring also the land cash where you're just maybe carrying, like, say, the property taxes? Because I've seen a lot of people take down huge parcels of land carrying
money.
debt.
Yeah.
So if you have the sufficient cash flow to cover that debt long term, yeah, it can be fine. And there are some really good people I've met in my career that I don't know how they do it. I mean, they can spot a piece of land and flip it, do all kinds of different
But
things.
land eats money.
Exactly.
James owned a bunch of land.
But that
back in
person
the
I'm
day.
telling you about also brings in a lot of passive income. So they can sit on it. They can, whatever. They can develop it. They can do. So it kind of depends on a lot of factors. But you can certainly make a lot of money. I mean, the biggest lick I've ever made on a thing was on land too. Yeah.
But it sucks when you're paying that debt service every
Yes,
month.
yes,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not performing. It doesn't bring in rent. I
Yeah,
mean,
you can't hire a
get a little bit
tenant
of
to
money
go-
from the guy, farming it, but he's doing you a favor.
Yeah, or that debt service, like, you've worked hard, you're bringing in this passive income from your rental property, and then this one payment is just making you break even because you're having to carry that debt on it. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to do land, you just kind of got to plan for it. You gotta come to people like us that have done it before, because there's a lot of things that you don't always see. There's offsite costs. There's just so many different factors. You get sometimes these city things that come.
Oh my God!
It's not for the faint of heart. You've got to really know.
But how do I know if I'm buying land and it's got oil on it? How do I figure that out?
A lot of people. You can't acquire land.
First
with
of all, you're
mineral
getting the
rights.
mineral rights. Like
But that's very rare.
It's
now.
rare now, and almost nobody will sell land with mineral rights.
Yeah.
So like when developers,
You're watching too much Landman.
I know.
Yeah, I know.
Dude,
Yeah, he
so
thinks
for
he's
people that haven't
Billy
watched,
Bob.
for people that haven't watched Landman, the very last couple episodes, it's very interesting show. If you listen to it, it's not just like a drama.
I've seen snippets of it.
So like Yellowstone, for example, drama. Like it's just back and forth,
Yeah.
yelling, bunch of family drama. This one, I feel like they give a lot of
little
really
education.
smart, like really good information where they're talking. I'm like, people don't talk like that. Like I'm writing this down. This is pretty good information. Towards the end of this first season, they have a situation where Billy Bob's the landman, right? He handles the leases between the oil company and the people who actually own the land. He leases it. His son, one thing leads to another. He doesn't work for the dad anymore, and he goes on his own. And what he does, he finds like 50 different landowners, and they all have leases that have expired with the oil rigs where the companies had paid them to drill, but they were only drilling straight down vertically. And so I guess now, a couple years back, whenever they learned how to frack all the shell and like to get the oil out of the out between it, he's going around and he's finding all these different leases to go and start doing it again with better equipment to get the extra little oil out.
Yeah.
So I know I make that joke, but when he was doing it, I was like, damn, is there like a lot of people like that are doing
I've had
that?
some clients that are land women too. And I've asked them about it. You know what I'm saying? I know. I guess you gotta whatever. But it involves a lot of
Land
research.
person.
Land person. Yeah. Whatever. But it involves a lot. They say it's very rewarding. You can make a lot of money, but it's very tedious. You know what I'm saying? Like you've got, like you're saying, be able to go through who owns this.
Oh
and
yeah,
that.
they show him tracking down the owners.
And in these
walking out.
counties, like some of these counties, like obviously we're spoiled in our county, like it's just all computer, whatever. Like in some of these counties, they're physically going through records, looking at stuff like that. Like maybe some of the Clayburghs and the B and the Duval and stuff like that. And so, there's a lot involved with it.
It's fascinating how they're able to pin down, these owners. That's a lot of work.
Not only the owners, but I guess the software and the equipment that's needed to determine these kind of things.
Oh yeah, there's that person.
I mean, it seems like it's money well earned if you're doing.
Oh
it.
yeah.
Not like real estate just showing up on the MLS, be like, yeah.
It's a whole like risk reward thing. Like if you're gonna, I say risk in the sense of like investing a lot of time in there could be a really big payoff as well.
What do you feel is the riskiest investment you've ever made? Because y'all have done a lot of different things, and I'm just curious. Like, is there one to where it was the riskiest, but there can be the riskiest and didn't pay off? Day two, Chris. We're doing okay.
I would say like the thing that is probably the most challenging for me is obviously as we build duplexes and multifamily. I remember purchasing a piece of land, right? It's actually where Gray Circle is right now. And I did all my preps. I did everything, went to the city, no problem. We'll support you on this or that. I went and bought the land.
And this was in the recession.
This was in the recession. Went and bought the land, and I'm starting to get a little bit further into it. And then the city comes back and says, oh, by the way, you need to run 6 or 8 inch line to airline. I'm like, and we'll probably reimburse you for it, but we don't know
6
when.
or 8 inch line, what?
Water line.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I started pricing it out, and it was at the time it was $300,000-$400,000. I'm like, I just spent, I don't even remember, at the time it was $300,000-$400,000, on the land. And now you tell me? So I literally sat on that land from 2008 till 2020,
And all he would do was complain about it.
And I just complain about it.
Yeah.
But
But what changed from then to now that you're able to do something with it?
workaround. We were able to actually, because the city had kind of expanded a little bit, we were able to tap into this.
But he waited.
I waited, and luckily I
He
pretty much paid it off.
Sucked it up.
Yeah,
and
because I had
made the payments.
because I had cash flow from rental property to pay for that, so it was all okay and hold it. But I will tell you, there's things that come out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? Like you went and talked to the city. I'm not trying to disparage the city, but I'm just saying is that, I mean, you have to really be with somebody who knows. And so I was fortunate to be able to get with an engineer and a guy that helped me with the developer. It's like, oh, well, you can do this, this, and this, and do a runaround and a work and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, help me with that. Like,
Yeah.
I will let you do the contracting for me, and you do the engineering. Just help me get this across the finish line. And they did.
So building like a water well wouldn't help?
No, they did something about no, because this land has a drainage ditch behind it. And so apparently the development behind me brought that line, but it wasn't across the ditch. So this person was able to engineer it to where I guess it tapped into that, and then it
Piggyback on that.
and then it looped back around, right? Because I think there's some new requirement, and forgive my naivete on that part of it, where it has to loop back around or something like that. So anyway, I got with the right people. And fortunately, the city had grown a little bit, so I was able to tap in. It still cost me some money, but it didn't cost $300,000 or $400,000. I didn't have to run it to airline. So lesson learned. I mean, again, you got to really do due diligence and have the cash flow to back you up. Obviously, if you're buying land that you're going to take debt on.
But also, you said there's surprises that can pop up that were not predicted or not foreseen.
It's funny. You would think, my biggest stressor and risk was the residential development, but it actually was an apartment complex that was foreclosed on that a partner and I bought 2017. And
I remember being in the office and they were bidding on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are they doing?
units.
And I've been in real estate just a little bit. And so I remember them being on the computer, him and Michael are like trying to do the bid. Okay, we got it. And I was like, for how much?
Well, it's funny because the acquisition, I think it was like 1.4 mil. And so
How many units?
56 units.
And they were all leased out?
Well, here's the issue. They said they were all leased out. I hadn't seen the financials. The way we calculated was, at the end of the day, it was like, I don't know, $17,000 a door, if you think about it. Does that equate?
I don't know.
56, whatever. It was cheap.
Yeah.
And partner and I just acquired 43 units in Taft, and so we just, we were driving back from the courthouse steps. We saw this big old auction.com sign, so we went in there and asked the lady in the front, hey, do you have any vacancies? And she said, no, we're fully occupied. So didn't think anything of it. Long and short, we wire 10%.
Wait, did she lie?
The reason why they were fully occupied is because 10 of the units were non-livable, and they weren't ready.
So how many units was it total?
It was 56, but it had an old chiller system. So the way it would the way the HVAC system would work was through the chiller system, and not a lot of people know how to work on those chiller systems. They're a headache, and they leak and they drip,
and very few people work on them.
And it's just a mess. So anyway, long and short, we had to send 10% earnest money, $140,000. I sent my 70. My partner sent his 70, and then we saw the financials. And for the past 2 years, it was losing $350,000 a year. And I'll never forget. He asked me, and he's a much larger outfit.
What was it
than me.
losing from maintenance, from the tenants not being there? What was it
Leakage
losing?
and
Leakage?
just there was a lot of stealing. And we'll get into that in a second. But long and short, he looks at me and he's like, hey, I'm okay with losing my 70 if you are. And I'm like, no, I don't have that luxury, buddy.
This is Scott, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have that luxury, buddy. We're gonna do this. So long and short,
You win some, you lose some.
Exactly.
we did an audit, and the day we closed, we fired everybody. And it turns out like it was terrible. the mom and pop that owned it, that was foreclosed on, the bank took it over, and then they hired an outsourcing management company, which hired the old property manager back that was stealing. And it was just, everybody was in cahoots.
Wow.
And it's just a small town nonsense. But long and short, we were able to turn it around, get rid of the chiller system. We dumped a bunch of money converting everything to, just a central heat and air system. We beefed up the electrical. We spent back then it was $500,000, which is equivalent to 1.2 now on renovations. But I was like hands-on, pulling the dumpsters. I was GCing the whole thing and practically living in Sinton. And my daughter was like, I remember Madeline was just a little kid.
2 years old, probably.
And I feel like this was like 7 years ago. So maybe it was before 2017. I don't know.
No, it's 2017.
Oh yeah, it's 2017. Damn.
That's 7 years ago.
Yeah. I remember Madeline was just 3. And anyway, we went through like 7 different property managers. I mean, the cool thing about like larger complexes, the rule of thumb is anything in excess of 50 units, you can afford to have a full-time manager and a full-time maintenance guy on site. Anything less than that, you can't cash flow. Mm-hmm. So the managers on site, we went through about 10 different people, and I was gutting a building in Robstown, and this guy who was kind of homeless helped me out, and his work ethic was there. And long and short, he went from maintenance to eventually managing the place, and he did really good until he relapsed. Soon. But long and short, we were in Sinton eating at the butter churn, and it was just stress after stress. We finished the project and got the cap rate up, and we successfully sold it. But God bless the stuff I learned dealing with that complex. People were like, "Oh man, don't you wish you would have never sold it? Sinton's blowing up." No, I'm perfectly fine. We renamed it the Spanish Oaks of Sinton.
I remember.
It was
wow.
Now you drive by, it's all nice.
So, a couple of things. We got to wrap up. Actually, one, I thought you were going to say the hotel. That's what I thought. Was
oh my God!
Yeah, that's another one. That's another one.
That almost bankrupt.
I was like, you want a hotel now? Yeah, it's this one. I was like, really?
That would have bankrupt.
Is it going to be? Yeah, that's what you got out. It's smart. One, I don't tell y'all this enough. I really do look up to y'all. I've known y'all for a very long time. You are both the reason I got into real estate. So the reason why I wanted y'all to be the first guest on this new podcast, not new, but we're bringing it back. We got this brand new office, and I think it's going to be one of those things that I love having people come in, because this is, again, Gino's table, and I feel like everybody brings something to the table. Y'all definitely bring a lot, and it's making me realize that I need to do a ton more, and I appreciate y'all's brains being able to pick. So hopefully we can make some more stuff happen. I see a big feature happening soon. I think this is just the start of another huge chapter for all three of us, for everybody within the company, and anybody who joins us in the future. So I appreciate y'all.
It's exciting.
Thanks for having us.
Almost made me cry there.